This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the faucet. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, hi, my name is Peter.
Yeah, I want.
Here's good.
Yeah.
Madam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
Ah, that's right. It is showtime. Wednesday right here. Wednesday. And a rush it is. I swear it's not enough hours in the hours. But how the hell is everybody? I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show. Every Wednesday like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast, God willing. And I swear there's times when I know it's not just me getting me through it. So a little bit of faith and accountability never hurt anybody. But I hope everybody's doing well. It's definitely springtime. Spring. I told myself this year I was going to try to take more time and enjoy myself. Enjoy things out, life. And so far, I'm not on to a good start. It's just been overwhelming. But I don't have a problem with it. But I'm getting flack from a lot of people on my outer side, giving me hell. It's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, I tell them, don't go there. We don't want to open up that can of worms. But life is good. So I hope everybody's doing well. We got a great show tonight. We do. I've been talking to this man for a year and a half. And it's all my fault because should have had him on last year. And things just kind of didn't fall into place. And nothing bad, but just kind of fell through the cracks. But I finally made good and got him on the show tonight. And I think it's a great topic. I haven't done this in quite a while. So I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of great information. He's a podcaster and a big one at that. From the Healthy and Awake podcast, Mr. Mike Vera is going to be on this show. Mike Vera is a certified health and wellness coach. He's a plethora of information, as I told you last week, about the foods we eat, the things going on in our environment, even the medicines and things that you take, and what's good and what's not so good, and even when it's good for you, what are the the downsides to things? And there's a lot of downsides to pretty much everything. And even when you think you're eating healthy, are you really eating healthy? And he's serious about it. And I just found out even more stuff, as we had a pre-show little get together. And it's going to be a great show. I think it's going to fulfill you with a lot of things that you need to know about if you care about yourself. I mean, I care about myself, but I still slip on and off the old wagon. It's hard time having to do this, having to do that. So stick around tonight. It's going to be real good. And we'll have Mike on in a little bit. But while I'm on that subject of topics, next week, May 13th, Wednesday, May 13th, author of the book, and I have it right here, Failure Factory, How Baltimore City Public Schools Deprive Taxpayers and Students of Their Future. Right here, Mr. Christopher Pabst is going to be on the show. I've said this a million times now. I've talked about Baltimore a lot. I don't know why, but I've got connections in Baltimore, and we've, featured talking about Baltimore. I think Baltimore is a friggin' mess, but I think the education system itself is a friggin' mess. And Christopher Pabst is going to be on the show with his book. We're going to talk about it right here. And he really did a bunch of investigative journalism and wrote a book about it, about how much funding goes into the school systems and what they do with the money and what they don't do with the money. And it's real sad. And again, I we're going to get into it, but these are our children. This is our future. So we're going to get into that Wednesday, May 13th, right here, Failure Factory, author Mr. Christopher Pabst on the educational system of Baltimore and Maryland. And to me, this probably has a lot to do with the whole country as well. So you're not going to want to miss that. Again, our future lies in these kids, and God knows, you see online, I mean, I just think the lack of parenting on top of, we're entrusting our children with, education and government, and they're getting too involved, and it's getting crappy. Never, when I was growing up, did I understand home schooling, but I think I'm starting to. Just depends where you live. And a lot of people don't have a lot of choices, and it's just the way it is. And you got to be involved. That's all I can tell you. You have to be involved if you want your kids to grow up with their heads on straight. So join me next week. That's what's going to happen. He's raring to go too. I just contacted him too, and he also told me, just in case you're wondering, he said this is probably one of his favorite shows to be on. But all right, I made that up. All right, listen. Before I get going into the next gear, I think it's only appropriate that we get ourselves started, because I just recently, as I said, we're doing this, getting everybody off on the right foot for knowing what they're what's going to happen in their weeks. Oh wait, hang on, our first one of the day. Look at that. Pensacola in the house. That's good. I like that local stuff. That's good. More power to you, bro. And let's go. Sorry, I get sidetracked. It's all right. I like the comments. Don't forget you can comment. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want to get my aura together. So I think, why don't we find out what's going on with our astrological week, how we're going to be setting up for the week, with a little info from Moon Mistress Tarot, and see what's in store for your astrological week. I'll be right back.
Hello, my loves, and welcome to this beautiful month of May, the season of love. And let's find out how this is affecting your zodiac sign. For my air signs, oh wow, you've got a yes, baby. You have prosperity, you have happiness. So my darlings, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra, I would say go for it, my loves. For my water signs, my Scorpios, my Pisces, woo, and my Cancers, you have King of Pentacles. That's money, honey. Bringing it in, money, honey, sweethearts. And good times for my earth signs, my Capricorn, my Taurus, and my Virgos. Get out, play. You work too hard. That's 3 of Cups energy wanting to come through, loves. Ooh, and look at the fire, babies. That's Knight of Wands again, bringing in the fire, making it happen. And that is for my Sagittarius, my Aries, and all my beautiful loves, Leo. To find out exactly how this energy is going to affect your sign, moonmistresstarot.com. Back to you, Peter.
Back to me, Peter. Thank you, Moon Mistress Tarot. She gets excited when she's talking about that stuff, and I like that. All those little oohs. But anyway, I digress. To find out more about your astrological journey and cosmic connections, go to moonmistresstarot.com and look her up and see what's in store for you. You can get readings from her, and she'll tell you specifically what's going on in your life. God knows, when they started with me, they just stopped. They go, what's your sign? And so they go, it's stop sign. There's a couple of things I want to talk about real quick. Just some national and local before we really rev up. This past week, Spirit Airlines, rest in peace. Spirit Airlines. Now, I've never flown Spirit Airlines because I'm a lover, not a fighter. But they went down. They went down in flames. Financial problems, and JetBlue was willing to save them and merge. And they voted it down. They would not let JetBlue and Spirit Airlines combine forces, which I think kind of sucks, because guess who was against it? Just take a wild guess. But either way, their claim was, by doing that, they're monopolizing, like they're closing the gap on competitiveness and all this and that. And I get that. I don't like it. Like, again, with what's going on with our media, A few certain billionaires are buying up all the media and therefore, directing the narrative as to what they want you to see and not see. I think that sucks. But for the airlines, I can, in the past 20 years, I've watched, United, Delta, Continental, TWA. I've watched the four out of the biggest merge, and nobody said anything about it. And now, here, at least they're not going out of business, because what competition is there if you're not in business? It's no competition. And they voted them down. It's American Airlines, Delta, United, Continental, and Delta. Was it Continental? They merged together. And then American and, help me out. You know what I'm talking about. They merged years ago. Nobody said anything about that. Nobody. And now JetBlue, two of the leading, least expensive traveling airlines, they wouldn't let it happen. So what's going to happen? More people, JetBlue will probably end up growing anyway, or whoever's going to be least expensive. They're all expensive, if you ask me, but I knew I was saving money when I sat in that flight seat and it was a piece of rope I had to tie myself up with. Times are hard. And I don't mind, but I had a suit on that day, and the chicken feathers, it was like, holy crap. Just like being in India. Nothing wrong with that, but you know what I mean. Speaking of which, for any of you women criticizing what color shirt I have on this week, this is it's not, I don't know if it's showing up well on camera, but it's not white and it's not gray. It's a light off pink, more of a mauve, and that's that. Okay, just to get it straight. I get the critic, well, what kind of tie I'm wearing, what kind of shirt, what color. It doesn't work with your skin tone. Speaking of skin tone, thick skin tone, I want to remind everybody I appreciate all that are watching, but I need you to share, all right? And it's easy. If you're on the official Facebook Peter G Show page, just hit that follow button or like, whatever it is. It's real easy. YouTube, I'm going through hell with YouTube, but hit the subscribe button anyway. They are killing me. They've never let me off the hook. And but I'm never going to stop. They'll, I don't think I'm doing anything bad. I just don't. So help me by just making it grow despite their efforts to not let me be seen. I would deeply appreciate that. So the official YouTube Peter G Show page, hit the subscribe. It's free. The official Facebook Peter G Show page, just hit the like or follow. It's one of the two. It's free. It's easy. It's effortless. And we're kicking ass on Facebook. I love you guys. Thank you. Let's keep going. But those are the two biggies. And then we're on all the other platforms, your Rumbles, your LinkedIns, all the short clips on Instagram. Instagram's being nicer to me. TikTok, I'm just about, again, I have no show page on TikTok. They've banned me twice for nothing. But I have a pseudo page just so I can kind of see things. But man, oh man, they're getting worse and worse. And it's really very depressing because I thought that when they sold from China that it was going to be better. And it's not really better. Let's see what we got here. Good evening, Peter. Steve B. Oh, I lost you, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. I like when people say hello. It's kind of nice. I'd say hello back, just like I just did. You're in for a good show tonight, Steve, if you're into taking care of yourself, that's for sure. Oh, and lastly, I know everybody's busy. On the East Coast, on the West Coast, it is only 6:15 in the evening, and lots of people are still driving home, stuck in traffic, driving home, from work. The next best thing to watch in the show, you can watch any of the over 400 shows on demand, but the next best thing is put an earbud in your ear and Google Peter G Show Podcast. You can't hear the live because it doesn't get put up until after the show's over, but you can listen to over 400 shows and topics. And then the next day when you're driving home from work, you can just put in the show that you missed the night before. It's on audio podcast. Just put an earbud in your ear. You can do it while you're at work because work is boring. Or you can do it while you're exercising, walking, doing nothing, and or driving in the car. All right. And another thing, Vietnam right now on the audio podcast, Vietnam is kicking the United States' ass in listening to the Peter G Show. I'm a little embarrassed. that tiny little itty bitty country. I'm appreciative of them. But what's that got to say about you, America? Come on, let's go. Show your love. I love you back. I don't understand. It's so weird sometimes on some of these countries. They just all of a sudden pop up out of nowhere and just, I'm killing it in some places, and then it disappears and we move on to somebody else. I don't know if it's topics. I just don't know. Speaking of topics, again, we're going to be bringing Mike Vera up in just a couple of minutes. But before I get to that, it wouldn't be right unless we heard from my good friends over at Clean Start Products with their money-saving fuel additive DX1 driver. So just stay right there, and we'll be right back with Mike Vera.
Let us help you with the high price of fuel. Hello, I'm Ty Thompson at CleanStarProducts.com. We can optimize your engine, saving you money and gas. Here's how. Our program works the same with gasoline and diesel engines. Whether you're using a car pack or SUV pack, the instructions are the same. Add 1 bottle to your engine oil, and each time you change your oil, add 1 bottle to the fuel tank each and every fuel fill-up. It's that easy. You get 10% fuel economy on average, lower emissions, and increased horsepower. DX1 sells for $2 an ounce, so for just a few dollars a fuel tank, you can optimize your engine, saving you money and gas. Come on, give it a try. It's the finest green-grade oil in the world from a California environmental company. You're going to feel it when you drive. Order online today. We'll get it out right away. CleanStarProducts.com/shop.
That is absolutely correct. CleanStarProduct.com. I have 2 words for you. It works. Use it myself. I wouldn't have believed it until I started using it. Notice the difference within about 3 or 4 tankfuls. This little itty bitty bottle right here. Put one of these, this services your average 4-door sedan. You put one in a clean oil change. Last the whole oil change, whether it's an American car every 5,000 miles. If you have a European car, is it 10 or 12,000 miles per oil change? But it lasts the whole oil change. And then all you do is when you're filling up your tank, put one of these little bottles into your tank, fill it up with gas, and drive. It's that simple. Cleans everything out, adds more lubricity to your engine. I got to tell you, with all these newer engines and the gas mileage they're trying to get out of these that they're demanding, the tolerances are a lot tighter. Engines aren't lasting the way they used to last. They just don't. So you need all the lubricity you can ask for to cut down that friction. And I'm telling you, it works, especially if you have a high mileage vehicle. You do not want to be going to the mechanic shop. You cannot get out of a mechanic shop for just an estimate for under $300 to $500. And then repairs, they don't repair things. They just replace nowadays. So do yourself a favor. Invest in yourself, like we're going to talk about today. Good food, good body, only for your vehicle. Makes sense. Don't believe me, go to www.cleanstarproducts. Give them a call. There's a phone number, 310-200-8931. They want to speak to you. They have a product that they believe in. They know it works. If you mention that you saw it on the Peter G Show, they will send you 5 bottles for the price of 4. I know, right? 5 bottles. Get that thumb out there. For the price of 4. You think I'd know this by now. It's a deal. It's a great starter kit. You put 1 in the clean oil change, and it gives you 4 bottles to use in your fuel tank. And I'm telling you, you'll notice the difference. Call them. They want to speak to you. Tell them you saw it on the Peter G Show. I hate shoving out money for repairs. I drive cars. I like seeing how well they drive for how long. Cars are tools. I'm over it. It's you kind of get there and then you say, you know what, this is all ridiculous. It's just a car. But people love their cars, especially in California. All right, that's that. Okay, let me just I'd take a sip as we always do. I think this will be the first time I cannot do it because nobody brought me nothing. I don't have it. So I'm going to make believe. I want to thank everybody for watching. Again, normally I take a little celebratory sip of Peter G juice, but it's my cup is about 50 or 60 feet away, and I'm not getting up to get it. So show must go on. That's all there is to it. So without further ado, like I said, we spoke quite a while ago. And I said, yeah, that'd be great. Great topic. He's like I said, a certified health and wellness coach, but he's deep into it and plethora of information. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, from the East Coast of the United States, Mike Vera.
Peter,
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
No, I'm glad you made it. Like I said, it's a little bit chaotic, but we get to the point finally, and getting up with you. As I said, I apologized to you back when we finally talked again for the second time, and I finally got you here, and you've been more than accommodable to making it work and making it happen. I wish I had a nickel for everybody that makes it easy for me, but that's why I'm broke.
Now this is gonna be fun.
Yeah. So I've told everybody a little bit about you, but why don't you just take a second and give everybody a brief synopsis about who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it, and all the above. You know what to do.
Sure. Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, my name is Mike Vera. I'm a board certified health and wellness coach, and this is something I'm obsessed with. And it actually started way back in my college years when I discovered Edward Bernays, the father of modern propaganda. And that began a journey of figuring out what makes people tick and how institutions can get away with really manipulating and influencing large groups of people. And I continued studying that all the way into social psychology, cognitive psychology, group psychology, every type of psychology you can think of. And what's cool is that as a board certified health coach, I actually get to apply the skills of influence on an individual level, where I actually help people motivate themselves towards their own health goals. Because everybody knows what they should do with their health, right? Everyone knows if they should move around a little more, or if they should not eat junk food, things like that. That's not going to surprise anyone to hear that. What really is helpful is how do we actually change the behavior? And I guess that's where it starts. There's a lot more that I can say on that.
Wow. I with you already, I've noticed from the brief get together we had this afternoon, I already could tell you not only talk about this stuff, you live this stuff, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, influence is really what it's all about for me, because I mean, when you look at the landscape that we're in, there's just evidence everywhere that we're having our buttons pushed and our strings pulled. And that's from marketing and advertising and propaganda and even all the little things that are tougher to see and notice. So that's what I mean when I say Healthy and Awake, which is the name of my podcast. It's not just healthy. It's not just eat the right foods and move the right amount. It's more than that. It's if other people can make me do things, if they can make me buy products that I don't need, and you look at how companies convince people to smoke cigarettes and all that. So if other people can be convinced to do things, why do we as individuals struggle to motivate ourselves towards health goals, things that we tell ourselves we really want to do? This is really important. Why do we get stuck there? That's really the space that I live.
And that's I get it, but not everybody. I know a lot of people that do what they do, but not I mean, and they're on the wagon, but that bandwagon. But I just felt like when we were just talking about lighting earlier, and you were telling about how you light your house.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before. Do you care to elaborate a little bit? It obviously has a purpose.
Yeah, definitely. And that's also why I'm wearing these glasses. It's not just that I like to look at the world through rose-colored glasses. There is this idea of circadian rhythm. It's, there's a lot of research in it. I've spoken to actually the medical doctor from Harvard who discovered the part of the brain that runs the circadian rhythm, as well as others. So the circadian rhythm is basically the body's internal clock that drives all the functions that you don't have to think about. It's the glue that holds all that together. And the cool thing is it's actually driven by light. So I'm talking about things like the rest that you get, even the hormones, the hunger that you experience are driven by light. Meaning when you wake up in the morning and you can see that the sun is out, that is a signal to the body that starts all these processes that happen behind the scenes. Now, where things get tricky is at night when we're exposed to the screen from our phone, our computer, so on. That kind of tricks the body into thinking it's noon. So our body internally is doing noon activities when it should actually be running on a very specific rhythm, a nighttime versus daytime rhythm. And unfortunately, our society is light pollution and all kinds of disruptions in circadian rhythm. So that's a very big topic. So to be more specific, I told you actually before recording that my house is glowing red. So I've removed all the light bulbs from my house because red light in particular tends to be easier on circadian rhythm, has to do with the wavelength, and also why I wear these glasses.
Okay, but red light, how the hell do you see what's going on in your house in red light?
I try to get things done during the day. So usually at night, lately I've been trying to get to bed a little earlier, which according to a healthy circadian rhythm, you really should anyway. You want to wake up just before the sunrise so you can actually get the natural red light from the sunrise. If you ever watch the sunrise, it's beautiful. It's really cool. You can see the sun looks really, really red. Well, that is like the natural version of red light. All those red light therapy devices, that's like a supplement, almost like a fish oil supplement. It's a supplement for what you're getting for the sun. There's all kinds of light devices like that. It's a supplement. So sometimes I got to, peek the glasses down to see what I'm doing, but all my cooking, I have systems around that, do everything during the day. And it could be tricky sometimes. There's like 2 light bulbs in my house that I never use, but they're there when I need them.
That's like hardcore. I mean, I don't know anybody. I've known truck drivers that because when I was touring back in the days, the production truck driver, like his whole dashboard was with red light as opposed to the white lights or green or blue or whatever. But he just told me it was easier on the eyes.
Yeah, it's definitely easier on the eyes. There's actually research on red light therapy. It can be therapeutic. I don't want to overstate anything, but there's definitely research on red light therapy that shows it can actually be beneficial to the eyes, reducing macular degeneration on some level. And I will say personally, I've shocked my own eye doctor where he told me my eyesight has improved the last 2 times that I saw him. And he's like, you know what? I really don't see that a lot. That's pretty crazy. Right. And I would imagine it's because I'm not shining light into my eyeballs. So actually blue light, it's not just that it disrupts circadian rhythm. It's actually physically toxic to the eye. It can deprive the eye of oxygen. It can make the eye into like a hypoxic environment. So it can be damaging. And there's a lot more to it than that. But it's the weird thing I've noticed is that for years of wearing these glasses, Peter, you ever go to like the movies and you're in that darkness for hours, and then you walk outside and it's like everything's just really bright and your eyes have to adjust?
Sure.
That's what it's like for me all the time. Like at night, I really can't go anywhere without these glasses because it's too much.
See, I wore yellow glasses a lot for a long time, like daytime, nighttime. It was just the way I was, but and I still, because my eyes are kind of sensitive to brightness, but I mean, what about when the sun's going down, the sky, red skies at night? Is that, just as good as the morning sun or?
Yeah, definitely. And they do say with circadian rhythm, like if you feel like it's off, and there are indicators, you want to get like bits of sun throughout the day. So ideally you're absolutely getting morning sunlight. That for me is a non-negotiable. The research indicates like you probably want to do that as much as you can, get morning sunlight. But also, in our modern times, we're getting exposed to this artificial light throughout the day, no matter what we do, especially if we work in a corporate office, something like that, we're getting exposed to fake light. Mm-hmm. So try to take a lunch break, go outside, get some sun exposure for as long as you can. 5 to 15 minutes would be like a good mandatory minimum. And then again, like at night. And all these things overlap too, because a lot of people who work with me are focused on weight loss. So if you're going on a walk after you eat dinner, well, you're actually lowering your blood sugar. You're getting exposure to the sun as it's going down. There's a lot of benefits to things like that for sure too.
You're talking about going to bed and all this and that. I'm super turned around lately. 2 nights ago, I went to bed at 5:30 in the morning. Now I wasn't out partying. I was just working.
Yeah, I get it.
I seem to light up at 11 p.m. Everything's quiet, nobody's bothering me, and I just start getting into things. And before you know it, I said I'm going to try to go to bed. Even when I try to go to bed by noon, midnight, or 1, it ends up being 3 a.m. And I'm just trying to break this habit because there's a lot of day things I need to do too. But you have to sleep a little. And I don't know how to turn it around. I'm having a real hard time with that because I've always kind of been like that in entertainment. You're kind of up, but I'm getting older and I figure, I got things to do now. It's like, I don't know what to do.
I get that. I've done that too. I mean, I'm a bit of a workaholic, and so I can get addicted to the work and stay up late. There is another level to that, though. This actually comes a lot from the work of Dr. Jack Kruse, who's very famous in this space of circadian health and blue light. So blue light is dopaminergic, meaning it can spike your dopamine. This is one of the reasons, according to Dr. Kruse, that they have so much light in casinos. Because it actually spikes your dopamine, makes it more likely that you'll be addicted to the environment that you're in, thus more likely to gamble and spend more money. And you see the same thing with our phones where we're blasting our face with blue light. And what happens? A lot of us, I hear this all the time, people get stuck on their phone for hours at a time. And it's not even like we like it too. By the end of the 4th hour, we're like, oh my God, like I got to pull myself away from this. Like that's addictive behavior. So the blue light itself can not only make you addicted, but because it is dopaminergic, because it spikes the dopamine, it can kind of spike creativity too. So if you look at that, it can kind of be used as a tool. If I want to be more creative, well, maybe it would be helpful to stay up late and expose myself to the blue light. I hear that a lot. I'm a night owl. I get a lot of work done. I'm more creative at night. I believe, as well as Dr. Jack Kruse, that the blue light is actually playing a major role in that. And there's a lot of research. If you isolate blue light, it does enhance focus. The reason for that is because you're supposed to get that high concentration of blue light around noon. You're supposed to have that level of focus around noon. The problem is that we've kind of flipped our circadian rhythm. I don't even know if upside down is the right way to say it. It's almost like it's just always on daytime.
Yeah. I'm flipped. All right. And, I have no problem functioning in the daytime either, but you have to sleep. And I just fall right back into, by the time the evening rolls around, I start getting more and more focused onto certain things and I just get into them and I'm trying to finish. And before you know it, it's really, really late. And I enjoy sleeping. Sleep is good. I dream a lot and I like to, so then I get comfortable and my best sleep is from probably 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning. Sure. I don't know, but you tell most people that they call you a bum, and millionaires get up at the crack of dawn. And it's like, well, whatever.
No, I hear that sort of thing from a lot of the clients I work with. And again, I'm a health coach. I'm the same way. Like lately, I'll stay up till 3, 4 in the morning getting work done because I have a business to run too. Busyness is one thing, and sometimes we got to pick our battles. Sometimes we got to sacrifice our health a little bit. It depends what balance is to the individual, right? Because to me, I feel tremendously fulfilled in staying up late, knowing that I got a lot of work done that's going to reach more people, help more people like that. It's worth it for me, the trade-off. Right. So I think it really, it depends.
Well, again, and you do a show. How long have you been doing your show?
Well, I've been on pause for about 6 months or so, but the show is a little over 2 years old.
Okay. But you know that, do you do it weekly? It's a once a week show. What was it?
Yeah, it used to be weekly and I kind of just put more time into Substack lately.
Okay. But even a weekly show as this one, it's wash, rinse, repeat. There's and in between, I also have the still promoting the old show while starting to promote the new show. There's these 3 days in between, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, getting into Wednesday, where then it's a combination of both, and it just never ends. And if you have segment producers and all that kind of stuff, it's great. You walk in and you do your gig. You're well versed. You know what to do. But when you're changing hats, it keeps you busy, and that's why that's why I'm staying up late. It's because I got to get it done, or I could just let it go and don't give a damn, But I kind of care. And so it's Healthy and Awake. What made you decide to call it Healthy and Awake?
Well, the healthy part is the more obvious one. As a health coach, I've always been interested in health, but that awake component is really the missing thing because. Doctors, if someone who has diabetes comes to see their doctor, they're going to, of course, say, hey, you got to change your diet and you got to move around more and you got to work on your sleep and all these things. People know this already. But the example I like to give, because I mentioned at the very beginning, for me, it's really more about what makes people tick. And if you know this information and you know how important it is, where's that gap? Like, why are you having trouble making it fit into your routine or make it stick? Because some people will start and then it falls off. Here's an example of how people can push our buttons and pull our strings very effectively. Let's say I go into the store Target and I say, I want to buy 2 things. I swear, Mike, I'm only going to buy 2 things. I'm telling myself, what happens when we leave the store? We have a cart full of stuff that we promised ourselves we wouldn't buy. And usually it's some snack that we know we're avoiding, or it's shoes that I already have, like a pair of shoes. I don't really need them. I hear this all the time from people. How does that happen? Especially when we told ourselves we didn't want to buy it. Well, it was engineered. There are corporate suits who sit around in a boardroom who figure out, hey, what motivates people to want the things that we're offering? How do we get people to behave in a way where they pull out their wallets and they give us more money than they even intended to when they walked in the store? That's not accidental by any stretch of the imagination. There's so much planning that goes into, hey, we want you to behave a certain way, so we're going to engineer the environment to do that. And that's not only in the store, but that's outside the store with the advertisements, the catchy jingles, the logos, the brand ambassadors, all those different things are designed to get you to think and behave a certain way. So if those people are putting that level of effort into getting you to behave a certain way, where's your effort? We're like, what are you doing to engineer your own behavior? And I don't mean that in a, judgmental way. I just mean like, look how much effort they're putting in. What can you do to sort of give yourself that same push? And that's a big conversation to be had because we're all motivated by different things. We're all in different places in life. That's why it tends to work best like on an individual one-on-one sort of thing.
Look, in my defense, the shoes were on sale. Okay. They were dirt cheap and I figured, okay. And the cookies, well, I hadn't had those in a long time. They've been pretty good and I just treated myself, but yeah, I get it. Believe me, I'm the worst when I don't buy a bunch of crap, but I eat good and bad. And knowing, God, it's killing me. I just saw a thing, you know how people, let's face it, life is busy. Rotisserie chickens in like Costco, Sam's Club, Walmart, that kind of a thing. They're affordable. A lot of people don't have time. It's $7-8 for a fully cooked chicken. But yeah. I'm seeing these things about how bad, like they're sodium injected and they're just, it's like, what is there out there that's any good to eat anymore besides, grass?
Yeah, that's a tough one. And it's something I spend a lot of time thinking about. I'm working on an investigative series on carnivore versus vegan because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have an answer for you. Like, what is the healthiest food that we should eat? Because it's such a messy landscape right now where you have on one side the carnivores telling you that the plants are trying to kill you. And then on the other side, you have vegans telling you that the meat is trying to kill you and that plants are the answer. And actually, when you look at both camps, you'll find lots of propaganda on both sides. So on the vegan side, you have Bill Gates trying to get money for his Impossible Burgers and sell as many of those as possible. But it's also true on the carnivore side. It's no secret. Eat probably even longer than the vegan camp. There's been beef industry propaganda. And if you look at some old school TV shows, you'll find very obvious examples of like meat, pro-meat agendas inserted into TV narratives. So I'm not anti-meat. I'm not anti-vegan. I'm not pro either one of those. What I find at the end of the day is like when people are eating real whole foods, they tend to be healthier than eating processed crap. And look, I like chocolate chip cookies. I like ice cream from time to time. So 80-20 rule, eat 80% of the time healthy, 20%, give yourself a little break. Just as a general rule, something like that for most people tends to work. But it's messy, man. Like the landscape of food is really messy right now.
On the meat side, I love meat. I
Same.
Just do. Yeah, I do. And I'll eat vegetables and things like that, but I love grilled meat. It's just ooga booga. I don't know. But I had a person that I knew, and she would not like, she'd say, all these meats are injected with antibiotics and all these things, and she would only buy from a certain farm, where she said they're grass, supposedly grass fed and all natural. So everything we touch nowadays is getting, let's say like not Walmart or whatever, their brand. If you read like a frozen pizza, it's like there's so many chemicals going into this stuff. It's like, why is that so? Because it's cheaper to make it that way, and yet for $5 or $6 or whatever, it's expensive to eat healthy. So most people can't. What do you do?
Well, first, I do want to comment on the actual landscape of it, because I think there are a few levels of what's going on. On one level, you're right. It's cheaper to make. And the lowest hanging fruits in our environment is like, hey, it's cheap to manufacture. If it causes some issues, that's not really our problem. People are going to buy it anyway. There's a lot of that. I also do think a lot of these companies, like the food companies, it's no secret, are in bed with the pharmaceutical companies. It's not a secret at all. So these companies collaborate. And this might sound a little conspiratorial, but I don't think it's unreasonable to speculate that they know some of what they're putting in the food, whether it's the endocrine disrupting chemicals or heavy amounts of pesticides or injecting with whatever. They have to know. And in fact, in many cases, we do know, because we'll find out that they'll remove ingredients 3 years later after people experience harms. So I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that there is some deliberate effort to put things in there that they know are going to be harming people's health. So the way I look at it, this is kind of my worldview, is that the lowest hanging fruit options are generally compromised on some level. And you even see this with medications. If you look at the brand label medications, that's one thing. You look at the ingredients, and then you look at the generic that has the same active ingredient. There's always tons more extra inactive ingredients there. Things that if you actually look into those ingredients, can be harmful to people, like polysorbate 80 is in the generic one, but not in the main one. So what can people do? I think they can scrutinize what they're buying. They can scrutinize the source. There are apps that can make this easier when it comes to food. One of them is, I think it's called Yuka, Yuka. There's another one called Think Dirty, which sounds like something it's not, but it's really, you can just scan food products. And then the other one is called EWG. That's the Environmental Working Group. And they scan not only food, but bathroom products as well. So you can actually see a list of what is most and least toxic in the ingredients list.
So I just find that it's just getting worse and worse. Pretty much everything we're eating and buying is getting more and more injected with things that just are a lot more harmful and or not as good for you. And again, it boils all down to money. Money is what is it? I just saw an advertisement on Facebook these past couple of days about a canned vegetable company called Good. How about that? I sent them an email. Good food or something like that. And they claim to be a Midwest company that's still family owned. They still can all their stuff from vegetable to from farm straight to the can. No, big preservatives and all that. And I emailed them last night at like 3 a.m. I said, I want to have you on my show because I don't know anybody who's still alive around that can afford to still stay in business anymore because, the farms are having problems too. And it just blows my mind of all the crap they're putting in there. Speaking of which, I'm going to take it up a notch when you're talking about this. Last week when I was talking about you coming onto the show, I was saying you remind me, you're going after all this stuff, kind of like RFK Jr., but I said JFK Jr. It's just like a mental Freudian slip. But do you like what he's doing? Or trying to do? I'm sure he's getting pushback from everybody, but do you think he's, on the road to doing a good job or what?
I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. A lot of the people that I talk to, a lot of the medical doctors that I talk to are really upset that he hasn't really done much with the COVID vaccines, which I've spoken about ad nauseum on my show about a lot of the questionable side effects, a lot of the corruption behind them being distributed in the first place, a lot of the misinformation from the institutions we're supposed to trust. And even RFK Jr. himself was pioneering these narratives saying, hey, something's not right here. And he hasn't done anything about it. So that's the bad side. The good side is he has been doing a lot of really good things. He's been making measures to remove some of the food additives that are in the American food supply. He's been taking measures to bring awareness around some of the harms of pharmaceuticals like SSRI antidepressants, which I've been talking about since 2012 about the harms and how the public has been misled in a very serious way about SSRIs. And so he's starting to talk about things like that. And, you know, there's a lot of good with the bad. Because I mean, he's also, what is he doing? He's giving people more access to Ozempic, while previously he literally said people are stupid if they use Ozempic. That's a quote. I'm not saying that. That's a quote from him. And now he's, you know, taking initiatives to get more people GLP-1 medication. So
why do you think that is?
It's hard to say. You know, it's hard to say without talking to him. I would imagine maybe on some level, some pharmaceutical partnerships, because the Trump administration does seem to keep these people close to him and he's collaborating with them. And this has been going on for a few months, where I think he's been talking about getting more people GLP-1 medications. But, you know, maybe I'm misreading the situation, because I also saw something earlier about, on a general level, he's trying to make it easier to get medications at an affordable price. And maybe he's just using GLP as sort of like the marketing hook to that. So I don't know. It's really hard to say. Every day I see something good, and then the next day it's something bad. So it's interesting, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get it. And again, I think it's such a mess what we're in with what's going on in the food and drug industry, that you know, alone, I mean, you watch the news at night, which I do, but I don't. I only watch them to see where they're going with what they're trying to push. And then the commercials are, you know, 15 minutes long, and they're all pharmaceutical commercials.
Yeah.
And at the end of the commercial, it's 30 seconds of side effects. I mean, and if you listen to it, it's like, who in their right mind would take this stuff unless you're on your deathbed? But yet, people just do, because it goes in one ear and out the other. And it's like, you go to the doctor and they go, here, try this, you know, the pharmaceutical there. I don't, you know, they're just pharmacists now. They're not really fixing you. I just feel like you're just getting covered over because the pharmaceutical rep told them this is what it does. Give it to them.
It's very true. And, you know, I work with so many people who have serious health conditions that I could say with 100% certainty, there are medications out there, without a doubt, that really change people's lives. People who are suffering, and it gives them a better quality of life, even if there are side effects.
Right.
That's not for me to judge. Those are, you know, people who I can't deny their experience. They're telling me I can actually get things done in the day, and I have energy, and I have less pain, and I feel better. That's good, right? Some of these medications are great. But at the same time, the whole foundation of how these medications are even prescribed is, to a large extent, built on fraud. I mean, even if you look at some of the most influential people who have run the clinical journals, have said that it's almost like a marketing book, these medical journals that publish the data and the research on pharmaceutical research. I mean, multiple, I post about this regularly on my social media, multiple chief editor of the New England Medical Journal saying that this information can't be trusted. And there's a really good book called Pharmageddon by Dr. David Healy, who explored this in depth, where a lot of these papers are ghost written. So they're not even written by the people who have done the research. So they're written by people to make it more attractive. Like, hey, look at how great these statistics are. They use statistical trickery to move the numbers around to make bad data look like good data. I could go on and on. They're manipulative with their advertisements. So it's not just the ads on TV. They pay TV producers to put subtle things in there, like the show House. There's studies on the show House, how they put brand name drugs in there to very almost subliminally influence the population, to really normalize how these drugs are even talked about in society.
Product placement.
Yep.
Yeah, well, they've been doing that with sodas and things like that too, and I get that, but it's it's pretty bad. I've had on the show several times. I think he's really good and he's really smart, and he's very against the pharmaceutical industry and like all this stuff. He's also a professor. His name is Doug Bremner. I don't know if you've ever heard. He's written several books. Well, he's on your end of the. He's out of Atlanta, but he's really good, and he's got several books, and he even had a movie that he just put out called "The Goose That Laid the Golden Egg" or something like that. And I've had him on, and he's easy to talk to and talks about things on layman terms, because I don't think half the people. I get it. Life is busy. We're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
And you have family, and you can't know everything. You just can't. I mean, so. And then you try to educate people, or you try to say something to people, and they go, "Listen, I hear you, but what they mean is like thanks, but no thanks." And until something serious comes along, and then you really need some help, and how far gone are you at the time? But again, the food that we're eating and the things that you mentioned, Beyond Meat and all that kind of stuff. Everybody, they implied that it's healthier because it's not meat and this and that, but there's more chemicals in that than the processing is way worse than average. But they don't tell you that part.
Right. That's a big debate, because a lot of the vegan foods are, in fact, just hyper processed foods. And that's something I don't have an answer on yet, because, I mean, a lot of these debates in food are so contentious. Like, first of all, if you look at vegan versus carnivore, protein is probably at the top of the list. How much protein do I need? Because the carnivores will tell you need more, you get more from meat. Vegans will tell you don't need as much, they're eating more carbs. Then you could get into, the carbs. How much carbs, is healthy, how much is unhealthy. Then you get into the seed oils, which is like a lot of the vegan food. They tell you seed oils is healthy. And then other people say it's catastrophic for your health. So these are things that I don't have a solid answer for. And there's a reason for that, right? You look at the landscape. I don't know if anyone has like a perfectly clear answer on this. And that's because not only is there so much propaganda, and it's just so messy to even decipher what the truth is, but I don't think the truth is as simple as like it's healthy or it's unhealthy. I think there are so many different variables that come into play. For instance, seed oils is actually worse if you live in a poor light environment. And that's explained by Dr. Jack Kruse. So if you're getting high amounts of blue light and you're not getting enough sunlight, there's some physiological process that can actually make seed oils more inflammatory and worse for you.
Right.
That might not be the case for somebody who lives in the Mediterranean and is not getting a lot of artificial light, and they're getting plenty of sunlight. So it's hard to say. It really is. And
it's hard to even decipher, because like you mentioned seed oils, like olive oil. I'll go out of my way to try to find a better olive oil, because I've just heard and learned, and this is only within the past 10 years, I think, for me. And I grew up Greek. I'm Greek. My parents would go and get the Greek olive oil. I mean, my parents come from an island that was famous for their olives and all that kind of stuff. But regardless, we're here in the United States. But growing up as a kid, I mean, I remember my mother cooking and using that Crisco, that, imitation fat. And we ate stuff and we lived, but I think even that stuff has gotten worse in time. And, and so seed oils, they say seed oils are really bad for you, but yet everything's fried in cheap oil. I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, well, it's funny you mention olive oil, because the research is pretty clear that is one of the healthiest, especially like uncooked olive oil. Super healthy for most people, generally speaking. But sourcing it carefully is something you want to do, as you mentioned you've been doing, because there are reports showing that a lot of olive oil out there is actually fake or cut with canola oil. So you might be doing the right thing. Hey, I'm buying olive oil, I'm eating salads, I feel good, only to find out that it's actually not in fact olive oil, which is why it's important. I think if I were to summarize my whole worldview, my whole message in one single word, it would be skepticism. Like reasonable skepticism, not like, kooky, off the wall, crazy, just reasonable skepticism. Hey, I'm putting this product in my body. I'm going to be ingesting olive oil. I better make sure that I'm at least getting something good. And sometimes easier said than done, but a little bit of scrutiny can go a long way.
I get it, but Mike, let's face it. You go to the olive oil aisle, and you're looking, and deciphering their verbiage is very difficult.
Sure.
And it says pure virgin olive oil. All right, pure virgin olive oil. But it's not. It's it's made with a blend of different places, and then it's processed somewhere else, and you have to have it processed and done all in the same place. And it's very hard. Even when I'm reading the labels, I'm still sometimes questioning myself.
Yeah.
Am I reading correct? It's misleading. Again, organic food, organic. You can think you're buying organic, and I know there's some slippery slopes in that they can say organic and not. Tell everybody like what some of those things are, if you know.
Sure. Well, yeah. Organic is really a marketing term. So like the idea behind organic versus conventional is that it has less pesticides. Now, in the beginning, that may have been true, but now it just means that they use different pesticides that they can legally call organic. Right. So it is tough. I will say when it comes to making these often complicated food decisions, most people do tend to eat in a routine anyway. Most people tend to eat the same 5 to 10 foods over and over again in a cycle. So yes, it can be a pain to sort of think about these details, but there are ways to do it. And once you do find something that's reliable, you kind of can just rely on that brand if you do, at least for some period of time until they get bought by Nestle, right? But there, like I mentioned earlier, there are apps that can make it easier. You scrutinize it. Even online now, Amazon is where I order a lot of my stuff. I will say when it comes to olive oil, I mean, there could be 10 different decisions on olive oil alone. So if you're looking at it, it's probably better to buy olive oil from Italy versus Tunisia. It's probably better to buy in a glass bottle than a plastic bottle. It's probably better to buy organic than not organic. But it's also probably better to make sure that our budget is able to afford all the food that we want to eat. And that's probably, I think for most people, it's
a tough one.
Yeah, that's the top concern. And there are lists of foods that have more pesticides and lists of foods that have less pesticides. They call it the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. So I would say if that is a concern for somebody, look up those lists, Dirty Dozen, Clean 15, and you can feel a little more at ease about what you're buying.
Well, again, and good olive oil, it does cost more money, and there's no doubt about that. But there are some reasonable good olive oils that you would never imagine, even out of Costco, believe it or not. Yeah. I searched it, and it was like, wow, that's just shocking, because Costco has a tendency to use major brands but put their name on it, you know, and so it just depends. But again, you're talking about these apps and things, and you talked about skepticism too, because using these apps, I'm going, well, what's their narrative? Are they pushing for somebody, or are they really, really honest? I mean, that's it's like, I hate going down that rabbit hole, but I question everything.
That's good. Yeah. Well, one of the thing about the apps, and it depends which one you're using, like EWG, for instance, you can scan food products and bathroom products. It will break down the actual ingredients and tell you like the level of toxicity, and you could sort of investigate that for yourself. And nowadays with these AI tools, you could sort of get a second opinion. Nothing's perfect. Even your own skepticism and scrutiny, will never be perfect. And it's always tough to find out where exactly the line is. So if you're really concerned, you can always do one level beyond the companies, buying food from them, and get to know your local farmer, find farmers markets, things like that. That doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be organic and it'll be perfect, but people do tend to have a little more trust in a locally sourced food supply.
Right. Well, it's just hard again, and I do question everything, but a lot of people are just going through the motions, and they're not as deep. This show has made me way more aware of so many things, because life years ago as a musician, I was pretty much floating through life, and so I kind of understand that aspect of it too. Not everybody's in tune. You're just doing what you do, and you focus on the good as well as the bad, but are you trying to be awake, as you put it? You know what I mean? To really try to be better, especially if you have children. I mean, that really got me more up on things too, because it was my child. You want the best for your child or children or whatever. But I want to take it up a notch. When you were talking about, you mentioned Bill Gates, earlier with his impossible. I've not unknowingly, have done some shows talking about Bill Gates because I am blown away by, in my opinion, the things that are going on with him and what he develops and what he tries to do and this and that. And I didn't know. I was just being me and talking about it because I thought it was something worthy of talking about. And behold, 10 million views. I mean, I don't do things to try to, to get people's. I just try to do things so I feel they're worth doing. Bill Gates is hard at it between, making fake food, poisoning the food that you're in, or the pharmaceuticals he's coming up with, or the mosquitoes he's releasing. I mean, how the hell does he get away with this, knowing that if you and I know this, the government knows this, everybody knows this? How?
That's a tough one. Well, I think his family comes from wealth. If you look at his father, he had his hands in some eugenics projects along with the Rockefellers. That's no secret to anyone who actually looks into the Gates family and is paying attention to these things. And I mean, he says this himself. He slipped up a few times. He said on a TED Talk openly that he wants to reduce the population. And when you point that out to people, they act like you're the crazy one, which is kind of hilarious. But Bill Gates didn't used to be liked as well as he is by some people right now. I mean, at the peak of his Microsoft controversy, people were really looking at him with a skeptical lens, as they should be. It was the monopolization controversy with Microsoft. And what did Bill Gates do? Well, he hired an epic PR team. PR, public relations, also known as propaganda. So, I mean, he used exactly some of the things that we've been talking about today to really shape people's minds and control the narrative about what people think about Bill Gates. And it's propaganda because you can see the visceral effects. When you talk to someone who loves Bill Gates, they act like you insulted their grandmother if you criticize Bill Gates. That's not a normal reaction to things. That's a programmed response from the result of PR and propaganda.
Yeah. A lot of people, there are people that think that, because again, they don't know. They just going, and it's like, oh, what are you talking about? He's a great man. He's a philanthropist. He donates money. I go, yeah, money to organizations that he's founded. So he's just giving himself money in different areas. He's not giving away his money. But again, all you hear about is all the wonderful things he's doing. He's got his hands in everything. Even I just learned only about 7-8 months ago, the migrants that they're like shipping back to South America and things like that. He's got a contract with the government because he owns the planes that are shuttling them over. I didn't know that. I mean, it's like, what does he not have his hands in? And this is evil. I'm sorry. I think he's a piece of crap. And I don't know how we're allowing this to happen. But yet I'm no better because I can't do anything. What are you going to do about it? Besides, make people aware of what's going on till, we start raising enough hell and going, enough is enough. But I don't know when's that going to be?
Well, if people knew what propaganda actually is, people act like propaganda is going to be labeled. Like, oh, no, I haven't seen propaganda doesn't affect me because if I saw it, it would be so clear. Those talking points where people say, oh, well, Bill Gates is a philanthropist. Like that is a propaganda programmed talking point. And you can ask, like, how did Hitler rise to power? How did Hitler accomplish what he did? He used propaganda. He improved the schools. He improved the roads. He did a lot of good things for the people so that if somebody said he's out of control, he's doing crazy things. Well, like, what? You mean the guy who's improving the roads and improving the schools? Like those propaganda talking points aren't something to be dismissed. And it's tough to even talk about when people don't even really understand what propaganda is. He's a philanthropist. That is the result of propaganda. That is public relations, a curated image. So you can think of him as this really fantastic guy when in reality, you don't know anything about Bill Gates. Like you nothing.
He's a squirrely kind of guy, and I'm watching him go from stealing the Microsoft stuff basically, taking credit for it, and then he has so much money now he's basically almost a doctor the way he talks, and I'm not saying you can't learn things and talk about things. I mean, we all do, but he's no doctor. He's just got enough money to pay people to do stuff, but the things that he's doing are so And again, I do believe it all is with the population stuff. And you were talking about how he's talked about things on TED Talks, as well as blatantly saying it. It was such a clever backhanded compliment. By improving health through vaccines, we can reduce the population. And it goes right over everybody's head. And it's like, what do you mean with better health care and vaccinations, we can reduce the population? It's like, that doesn't make sense if you're going to be healthy.
No, and I mean, that's not the only instance. He had a project in India that was called something. Yeah. It was something like the Population Control Project. I mean, it was literally in the name, and they had to pull down those documents because people started questioning it. But it's not only Bill Gates. If you look at the people he keeps close to him, this elite, so-called elite social circle. I mean, I've been surprised at some of the people. So Ted Turner talks about eugenics talking points. Jane Goodall talks about it. Sadhguru, who is supposed to be this like spiritual guru. We see him at the World Economic Forum saying he would love it if there were less people on Earth. So all these people who you find at the World Economic Forum seem to have a passion for reducing the global population. There was another one, I forget who it was. Someone very notable said, if I could come back as any form, like if I died and I could come back, it would be a virus that would wipe out a large extent of the population. So these people are they're in like their own little world. They're in their own club where they feel like they can really manipulate people, because they do have this almost magical power of propaganda where they can hypnotize people to believe all sorts of things, and
money,
power, and probably boredom too. I think boredom, when you have that much money and power, you've sort of conquered the world. What else are you going to do than boss people around?
I guess, but see, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not wired that way. I just don't see how people could be so evil to think with that type of mindset. By the way, side note, as of today, Ted Turner will not be talking about any depopulation anymore.
Ted Turner died today.
That's right.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, 87, I think.
Well, he wanted a lower population, so I guess that's his contribution.
Yeah, thank you, Ted Turner.
Yeah.
Again, I think all these people just want to be in this club. They get wined and dined, and and we've said it before. In Davos, they're eating the finest steaks available. With the New World Order and all those people. But but for us, the minions, it's like crickets. They want us to eat crickets and all that crap. But pharmaceuticals. I had a conversation with a homeopathic doctor about statins and things like that, and with the side effects, because when I was going to a doctor, he's bugging me about my cholesterol, and there's a big discrepancy on what the Western medicine level number should be, as opposed to like the homeopathic number should be, because you have to have cholesterol for your brain needs cholesterol.
Yeah.
So they put you on those statins, and these statins now, it's all coming out. It's on the news. It's like, they're no good for you. And they've been pushing those for years.
Yeah, statins, that's another tricky one, because I've spoken to many cardiologists who I really respect, who have said they love statins. And of course, I mean, it lowers the numbers. It makes their jobs easier. But I was really surprised to learn that it's something like 60 to 70% of cardiologists take statins because they believe so strongly in it. Even if they have no cardiac issues, they take no cholesterol issues, they take statins. So really? They really believe in this. But we are learning more and more that cholesterol, I don't want to say it's not as bad as we once thought it was, but we just didn't understand it the way we do now. Like eggs, for instance, they used to tell you to avoid eggs because that's bad cholesterol. Now they're telling you to eat eggs. Yeah. They used to say LDL, low density lipoprotein, that version of cholesterol is bad for you unanimously all the time. When in reality, we now know that there's multiple types of LDL cholesterol, and that one is better than the other. And some people who have higher cholesterol have higher testosterone, and it's another messy landscape. See, as a board certified health coach, I can't argue with doctors. If somebody comes to me and they say my doctor wants me to lower my cholesterol, legally and ethically, I can't tell them to do something that they're against what their doctor said. But what I can do is just provide them the current research, the information, and that's part of what the Substack is for, because I don't like not knowing the concrete answer to these questions. I don't like the fact that one expert will tell you that statins are the best thing in the world, and another one who's equally credible as a medical expert will tell you stay away from statins. They're going to ruin your health. So the answer does tend to be somewhere in the middle with a lot of these things. And that middle is often quite messy. It really is. It really, and I hate to give you such an unsatisfactory answer, but it really is different for different people, I think.
All right, I'll give you another chance. Diabetes. You deal with a lot of people with that?
Quite a bit. Yeah. A lot of people who have diabetes come into me who are taking the GLP-1 Ozempic type medications.
Really?
Yes.
Are they losing weight with it as well? Is it helping them, or is they take it in such a dose that it's more about the diabetes?
No, people absolutely lose weight. There's no doubt these are effective for losing weight. But the question I have is, are you getting healthy? Because when you look at these medications, they have all kinds of side effects. One of them, this may seem so trivial, but it really upset me. I saw a doctor posting about the GLP-1 medications, and he said, one of my patients who's taking these drugs found a study that says it can cause hair loss. And that's true. It can cause hair loss. So I told him, don't worry about it. We can prescribe finasteride, which is another medication that will help grow your hair. So these doctors, they don't care. Like they're happy to give you other pharmaceuticals to solve the problem that the first one caused. So they're not without side effects is my point here. So if I want to lose weight, I can cut off both of my arms and I will have lost weight immediately. But does that make me any healthier? Not exactly. So I'm taking these GLP-1 medications, and I'm not judging anyone, right? But I'm taking these medications, and what's going to happen? I could lose some of my muscle. I can get pancreatitis. I've actually heard this a few times. People who take GLP-1 medications to lose weight, and because they lose weight so rapidly and because of the side effects of these drugs, they get pancreatitis and they need some kind of surgery to, probably remove their gallbladder because that whole area has been compromised, right? Gallbladder issues, pancreas issues, nausea, constant nausea. And there's actually brand new research. Mark my words. Here's what's going to happen with these GLP-1 drugs. They're finding that it's not only food addiction that it can help with. So people take these drugs, they're eating less food, but also other addictions like gambling. So if you give GLP-1 medications to someone who's a gambling addict, this is real. They have the research showing this. They're going to start giving it to gambling addicts and other maybe alcoholics to reduce that. But here's where it gets really interesting. Those addictive the neurocircuitry around those addictive tendencies are also involved in love, attraction. And so we're starting to find, and I only just read this recently, so I'm not saying there's like groundbreaking research on this. Take this with a grain of salt. But because it's working on those same circuits in the brain, it very well could be having a negative impact on actual human connection. And we might actually see over the years ahead that relationships are destroyed from taking these drugs. And we've actually already seen that documented in the research with birth control, where when women are taking birth control, it messes up their hormones in such a way where they're attracted to people they wouldn't normally be attracted to. So they stop taking that medication. And there's a crazy high rate of divorce because it actually readjusts their hormones and they feel like a different person entirely. So these medications are something to be used with caution. That's for sure. I understand some people need them. It helps some people, but do think about it and don't accept your doctor saying, hey, this is perfect without side effects, because there definitely are some.
I want to get back to the whole GLP-1 and Ozempic things, but still, I want to go right back real quick. The diabetes, is that the only thing they give for treating for? I mean, that's my question. I didn't even know they gave that for well, yes, I did, but the thing was, does it work? And what else do they do to keep the blood? I mean, how do you recommend for treating it in a healthier way?
Well, the other one they tend to give is metformin. So a lot of the people who come to me who have diabetes are taking both of those, and even some others, honestly.
At the same time?
Yes. Yeah. So GLP-1, like Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro, plus metformin, which is a whole other drug that diabetics take. But I don't really advise people on medications. I can educate them if they have questions. I can't do it in a medical fashion. I can say, hey, here's what the research shows. but I never advise people on medications. What I do is, as I mentioned, it's really the behavior element. So people that, let's say someone comes to me, hey, my doctor said I need to lose 50 pounds and I need to get my A1C lower by 2 points. So, okay, tell me what you've tried before. Well, I used to work out. I used to do this. So I want to find out what they've done before, what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them. We do sort of an assessment to just get an understanding of a little bit of what makes them tick, and just get an assessment of really where they're at. What are you willing to try? And it's really a very custom process, because it's not like I can say, all right, Peter, I did my assessment. I'm going to tell you, like, imagine how well this would work or how bad this would work. All right, Peter, let me tell you, you're doing everything wrong. You're doing everything wrong. And here's what you got to do instead. Immediately, I've judged you. I probably made you feel bad. That's not very helpful. And I'm just going to hand you some homework. How helpful is that homework going to be if you already knew that you should be doing certain things that you've been struggling to maybe do in the first place or be consistent with in the first place? So it's tough to explain, but it is very much a conversational process to sort of shift your mindset into different stages of change. And
I'm sorry. What's your success rate? I mean, is it doable? I mean, really doable, like compared to the medications to keep you from dying, losing limbs, fingers, toes, blindness, all that?
Yes. So the research, I'm very fortunate in my field that there's more and more research coming out validating proper board certified health coaching, because there are a lot of people out there who can call themselves health coaches. I help people. But board certified health coaching is done through the NBME. So that's the National Board of Medical Examiners. It's the same credentialing institution that makes doctors board certified. So this is a rigorous process that is substantiated by the research. And especially for things like diabetes, it's very clear. My own personal success rate, if you go on avantiahealthoptimization.com, you'll see 125 5-star Google reviews. You'll see video testimonials. Everybody's different, right? Because everybody has a different starting point. I have people who come to me who are already doing really well, and they just want to run a marathon. I actually had someone who wanted to run with the bulls. I think that's the coolest goal that I got from someone I worked with, who wanted to run with the bulls, and he did it. He ran with the bulls. So yeah, everyone's a little different, because it's not like I'm helping, hey, come to me and I guarantee you're going to lose 50 pounds. That's not really what I'm guaranteeing. I'm guaranteeing you that I'm going to partner with you and collaborate with you to help you figure out why you're stuck and how we can actually get you from A to Z, from where you are now to where you're trying to get to. But that means you got to put in the work too.
Well, yeah, I get it. It's a lot of life choices, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's hard. That's probably the hardest thing. Most people say, no, well, I could just take this little injection and just keep doing what I'm doing, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty of that, but I do find it catches up to you eventually.
It does. I've heard cases where people got cleaned up and they got all healthy and stuff, and then they, just like you just said, one of your clients went and ran with the bulls, and the damn bull took them out.
Sure. Yeah.
That'd be a kick in the nuts right there. I mean, just like went through all that to get healthy, and this lousy bull killed you. Anyway,
thankfully that didn't happen.
Yeah, thankfully, but it was a good joke. This is the thing. Again, with the whole diabetes. So let's go back to the Ozempic, because this seems to be the hottest thing going on. It's been going on for 5-8 years now, I at least. Yeah. But it's really become a, what do you call those kind of drugs? When it's something really,
like a blockbuster drug.
What'd you call it?
Like a blockbuster drug?
No, something like that, but more like it's just the in thing now. Yeah. It's the in thing. Just go get skinny, and they're taking this, and that's really high risk for a lot of people that don't realize what they're getting into. Correct?
Yeah, and this isn't the first one, by the way. I talked about a whole history. I think phentermine was one of them. I think that's what it was called. Ephedrine. Even amphetamines used to be sold as weight loss drugs. So this isn't like a new trend exactly. It's just a new class of drugs that they're prescribing this way. But one thing that I was really fascinated by was that a lot of people coming to me with these challenges kept saying the same term over and over again. They kept saying food noise. Mike, I am experiencing food noise. I need to get rid of the food noise. I kept hearing it, and I had never heard that before.
Me neither.
So I got really curious, and I investigated it, and I actually found out that it's basically a marketing term that Novo Nordisk, which is the manufacturing company for Ozempic, they launched a campaign to spread awareness about food noise. In a sense, it wasn't like the food noise awareness campaign, but they paid celebrities. You had Kim Kardashian and all these celebrities at the same time talking about food noise and Ozempic and advertising their use of it. You go on TikTok, the hashtags food noise, hashtag food noise. Yeah. And it all happened. If you look at the Google data, it all happened at the same time, just before the launch of Ozempic. So that's what these companies, they did. That's what they do. Just like restless leg syndrome, a totally manufactured condition to sell a drug that happens to treat the condition that they manufactured. So it is a game that they're playing, and they know people, they're selling the result. Hey, you can lose weight without any effort. What a sales pitch. I mean, who wouldn't want that? Right. So it's another trick that's being played on the people. And, you know, like I said, it is helpful for some people, but I think you're going to probably see class action lawsuits in the future from this.
What I'm finding now and hearing is like the overuse of it. Like they're just really binging on it. I mean, but nobody's reporting the downside, what's happening to a lot of people, though. At least I'm not hearing it. And there is a big downside in many ways.
Yeah, I'm writing that down. That's really, it's a funny idea to think that people who are worried about binging on food are binging on Ozempic. That's really funny. But yeah, there are definitely side effects, like physiological side effects. It can affect your eyesight. It can cause hair loss, as I mentioned earlier. It can lead to pancreatitis, and these things aren't talked about. And if they are, they're kind of like very quickly, like, this will never happen to you. It's so rare. This will never happen to you, which maybe statistically they have numbers that show that to be the case. But I find it curious that very consistently, a lot of the people who come to me are pointing out some of these exact issues. When I start publishing about Ozempic, I get phone calls from people saying, I wish I knew this earlier, because now I have to get my gallbladder removed immediately after taking these drugs. People saying, yeah, I lost weight, but now I'm worried that as soon as I stop taking this medication, I'm going to put all this weight back on, and now I have to take this forever. And you know what? Some of their doctors confirm that. Like, I ask my clients every single time, what does your doctor say about your plan for getting off of GLP-1 medications? Very rarely do they say anything about, yeah, we have a plan. In fact, they say the opposite. They say, my doctor told me I'll likely be on some dose of this forever. That's a great business model. You know, I'm going to be on this forever.
So it's like being a drug dealer. I mean, it's good business. Just like opioids. I mean, opioids, they knew they had a problem with opioids, and they kept on, just kept it hush, hush. Hang on a second. Let me see what we got over here. Sorry. Steve B says, I've been taking statins for 10 years plus. Yeah, it's been going on for a long time. I mean, it doesn't kill you, but there are some things that happen that you may not even be aware of taking them. I mean, impotency, things like that, or not impotency, erectile dysfunction, all that kind of.
I can't remember. I will say there's a really good website called risk.org, and it's RXISK. So like prescription RX, ISK, RXISK.org. And the reason I'm a big fan of that website is because you can actually look up FDA data on drug side effects. So if you're taking whatever medication it is, that's a really good website to be a little more informed about what you're taking. And like I said earlier, I have no problem with anyone taking medications. You've been taking statins for 10 years. That's great. If that's been helpful, that's great. None of what I'm saying here is meant to be judgmental or medical advice or tell people what to do. My interest is really on just the truth, right? Because there is some truth when they say statins are helpful for X, Y, and Z. That can definitely be true. That I mean, people are helped by statins for sure. Right. But I just think, a lot of the, just with pharmaceuticals in general, not statins, but just pharmaceuticals in general, like we don't always get the full story. The story that we do get is usually marketing. And even if it's not us directly as individuals getting the marketing, we never consider how doctors are marketed to. Those journals are basically marketing books. There's a myriad of ways that doctors are marketed to to just think differently about drugs and really not question them as much as maybe they should.
I think there's a way around statins. I do. I think that's one of the easier things that are manageable, when it comes to, lowering your blood pressure and or cholesterols or whatever. That to me is one of the easier fixes in your body. But look, I hate to say that I've been really losing faith in Western medicine, because there's a lot of good doctors out there, but it's hard to be a doctor nowadays. The insurance companies, the pressure of like what they're putting on you, you see a patient for 10 minutes and I just see it. You got these pharmaceutical reps that just roll in, they pitch their sale, and the doctor just says, okay. And, and it's like, that's the new thing now. I'm using that. That's what he gave me, the samples and all this kind of stuff. And I just feel like they're getting less and less talking to you, trying to go behind your problem to figure out what's wrong with you, kind of like what you do, starting from the beginning, finding the source. And they're just going, okay, so you got inflammation here. Take these anti-inflammation pills, and those, I have inflammation, and but I also know that those kind of pills, long term, are just no good for you. I'll get a quick real example: acid reflux.
Mm-hmm.
Simple, because again, I had naturopaths on the thing. My doctor wanted to give me oprednisol or something like that.
Probably Prilosec.
Yeah, over the counter. You can get it over the counter, or you can get a prescription. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've read a gazillion times how long-term use of that stuff is not good for you. And I have a friend of mine who lives on those things, and I'm begging him, and I go, listen, I started drinking this apple cider vinegar with the mother. I started putting a couple of teaspoons in some orange juice at night or in the morning, whenever I go, it's gone. I used to eat a soft piece of bread that felt like rocks going down my esophagus. It's gone. And he goes, and it's like, yeah, well, I don't like vinegar. It's like, oh, you're killing me. It's like, it doesn't have to taste like vinegar, but there are solutions to things, and the simple fixes. Now, Western medicine's great for major surgeries and all that, but these guys are just giving me these pills. And I said, I don't want to take them. He goes, why not? And I said, because everybody says long term. I said, plus I started taking this apple cider vinegar. And he looked at me and he goes, is it working? I go, yeah, it's worked real good. He goes, all right, well, if it works for you, it works for you. I mean, he just shrugged it off like in awe. And these are our doctors nowadays. I question my doctors big time now.
Yeah.
Nothing personal.
No, that's what you got to do for sure. And I think for a long time, a lot of us have had this idea that the doctors are the ones who advocate for our health.
Yeah, we trusted them.
On some level, I think that's true. I don't think all doctors are evil. Like most of the doctors I talk to want to help people. They're usually just stuck in a broken system where they can't, even if they wanted to. That's why actually a lot of doctors are leaving to do their own practice. Many doctors are leaving even to do health coaching like I do. But what the problem you're describing is probably only going to get worse as AI evolves more and more into medicine. Because I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that I like about AI, and it probably can be super accurate at diagnosing certain things and finding things that human doctors would miss. But I see it as something that's going to be really effective at prescribing more drugs more effectively. Which brings me to the point that you have to advocate for your own health. If you need to see your doctor, see your doctor. That's fine. But no one's going to advocate for your health more than you. The point is to avoid the doctor. If you break your leg, go to the emergency room. All right. Yeah. Take what they want you to take and do all that. Get your cast and all that. That's a different story. But the system is just not equipped to handle lifestyle or chronic illnesses. It's just not. It's really all they have are the drugs to give you. And that lifestyle piece is really missing from medicine. That's why I love what I do so much. I'm in the missing piece, and I'm trying to help fill that gap that's really missing from medicine. But even then, it's like you have to advocate for your own health because no one else is going to do it for you.
You said AI. Do you think the people that are programming the AI can program the agenda to, like, because AI, how honest is AI? It's like, who's behind the AI that's telling them what to say to learn from? It's like, we need to be pushing this stuff, and they just insert it in there. I mean, that's scary.
At the beginning of this episode, I mentioned Edward Bernays, the father of modern propaganda, who really woke me up to the level of influence that we fail to pay attention to in society. And one of the things that he said is that words are way more powerful than a weapon. He said it more eloquently than I'm saying it, but he said that words are way more powerful than a weapon because I can affect a whole population with these words without firing a single bullet. And AI, with that in mind, is one of the most powerful weapons ever devised in human history. It can undoubtedly shape our thought patterns and lead us to believe things that may or may not be true. There are definitely studies on this that show how AI can gaslight us and have negative psychological effects, leading people into delusions or depression. And of course, if an institution who's pulling the strings of AI, building these tools, of course, I mean, if you go on OpenAI, I would imagine you have a hard time getting it to criticize Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI. So it's going to produce a favorable response. Right. It's definitely something people need to be careful with because, what's going to happen is a lot of people are going to use it to further outsource their thinking. The same way we do all the time where, what's going on with the news? Let me see what the anchors say. Let me not think about it. Let me just see what the anchors say and insert those ideas into my head. Yeah. AI is going to do that on just a whole other level.
All right. I'm learning a little bit more about the AI because I'll go into like regular AI, Gemini or something like that. And I'll say, how's the Peter G Show doing? And it's like, oh, the Peter G Show's doing good with over 400 shows. And, blah, blah, blah. And then it finally stops. And I go, listen, don't kiss my ass. I want you to honestly tell me. And then all of a sudden it's like complete opposite.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, even though you're doing this and that, it's really tough to be this. And I go, okay. So AI, you got to understand how to question it and not just take the first thing that comes out of its mouth, so to speak. There's a different answer for if you keep on pushing it, it'll keep giving you different answers.
Yeah, there's a really good book on this from General Michael Flynn and Boone Cutler called Fifth Generation Warfare. It's actually the second book in a series where it exclusively covers AI in a fifth generation warfare landscape. And that's, fifth generation warfare, that's a whole separate topic. But basically what it means is how AI is affecting us, the people, in ways that may not be easily recognizable. And I think in this world where AI is clearly not going away, it's definitely something worth paying attention to.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think the robotics and things for surgeries are really great that they're doing and things, but it's, again, questionable. You question everything, even your own physician, even though we learn to trust our doctors and trust the news, farthest from the truth, unfortunately. You need to be on, but a lot of people this is what they gave me. And you have this tabletop full of pills, counteracting the pill that took the pill after the pill. We're really running short on time. It's getting late, which I knew it was going to be because we already figured that we were going to be here. You got so many things to talk about, but what do you think is one of your hottest topics now that's going on with you that you're really having to address and take, in people that need to know?
Well, I think I said all the foundational stuff about influence, but I think the one that's really gotten the most pushback lately is I put out an article called "You Can't Call Coffee Healthy." And I actually did an investigation on coffee because this is another thing where everywhere you look, and I know I'm probably upsetting a lot of people in saying this, but coffee is obviously everywhere. Every corner you can get coffee. It's in every TV show. It's hard to look anywhere without seeing a reference to coffee. And even further, if you look in the news, all the headlines say the same thing. It's healthy. It's healthy. Look, a new study. It's healthy. Well, that's not how science is done. You don't get to pick one study and say, look, we found one very specific benefit, and so we're going to call this bean healthy across the board. So I looked at every variable possible, and I found that it's pretty tough to make the argument that coffee is healthy when you look at actually the heat. So if you have heated liquid, the coffee, the actual temperature of coffee could possibly be linked to esophageal cancer. The polyphenols, which is the biggest source of the benefits that are claimed, are actually degraded the moment you pour the hot water on the coffee bean. You have microplastics from the packaging and probably from the coffee device. I can go on the mycotoxins, the pesticides. I can go on and on. I'm not saying to stop drinking coffee. It can be very useful, but I don't think it earns the title healthy. And a lot of people got upset at me for saying that.
Well, yeah, I know a lot of people that don't speak without getting coffee in them. You know,
Yeah.
I've never been a coffee. I'm just not into coffee. I don't like hot. I've always been one of those, which is again another downside. I'd rather have something bright and sparkly. I used to drink soda in the morning. I finally kicked that kinda. I drink a sparkling flavored water with caffeine in it now, just to get going. But that's just my one a day. But there's people that live on these things, and yeah, you'll piss them off, I mean, there's always something bad for you, And
Yes.
so, luckily I kicked the habit of sodas and just switched to heroin. I mean, now I'm nice.
There you go.
Yeah. So
Yeah, there's no calories in heroin.
no, there's not. That's for sure. It really relaxes me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Listen, that's it. I just want to know if there was anything. Here's what we'll do real quick. I want people to know how to find you. If people want to get more information on finding you and see you on your websites and things like that, we can send them to www.mikevera.com. Is that simple enough?
Yeah, that's correct. I have the GLP-1 side effect guide on there. So if anyone is thinking about those or taking it, you'll find
Ozempic, you mean?
Yeah, Ozempic. You'll find an exhaustive investigation on all the considerations with that. And I'm actually getting ready to put up other things in there for people who have sugar cravings, coffee cravings. I have the websites idon'twantsugar.com, idon'twantcoffee.com. I'm getting ready to put a whole bunch of stuff on there. So mikevera.com is the place to find me.
Place to find you. I just think that, staying busy and not sitting around where things are calling your name, I think is probably one of the keys to laying off of the bad, cookies and drinking more and doing this and that. When you're busy, you don't have time for things like that. But not everybody. I mean, because I'm indoors a lot doing things as well, and you just grab stuff and
yeah,
there you go. And and sometimes I have this just this bottomless hunger until I get overfull, and then you regret it, and it's like, then you look like this, but it could be worse. All right, www.mikevera.com is the place to find Mike, and your podcast, Healthy and Awake. Are you back at it now, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I have 3 interviews lined up, 4 actually interviews lined up. So that show's coming back very soon, and I'm making sure that I come back even better than I was before.
Oh, that wasn't a bad start from what you did. But if you can do better, I mean, we always strive to do better information, interesting topics, good guests, and things like that, such as yourself. But it's I just didn't know. I was unaware that you weren't doing your podcast at the time, and because you got on your YouTube, you're huge on there. I mean, that's. I
think you got me beat.
Do I?
Yeah, I think so. I think you got double what I have, because for a while, I didn't focus on YouTube for the same reasons you described. They gave me a hard time, and so I paused for a little bit, but now they seem to be totally fine.
Look, they're killing me. I mean, it fascinates me. I mean, I can put up just even the promo, today's promo for this show. I looked at it 8 hours later. There was like 5 views. Mm-hmm. I'm going, how can that be when I can put something up and there'll be hundreds of views? What did I say that didn't agree with their terminology besides I have you on the show, it's going to be a great show. I mean, I don't understand it, but I quit trying to figure them out. I mean, we're at their mercy, so to speak. But when you go live, you're also on a lot of other platforms as well, correct?
Yeah. So that's like one of the, I do think like a marketer or funny enough, like a propagandist. So it's not just the show. I do think about, how the social media feeds to it, how the Substack, how my clients. So I do have a lot of angles that kind of, it's more of an ecosystem than a show. Like the Healthy and Awake brand really reaches many different places.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Again, a lot of people gave me flack. I started live doing Facebook Live when they first came out with it. I was literally doing it with an iPhone 3 feet
Yeah.
in front of me with a $1,400 mic plugged into that iPhone. You know, it was just crazy. And people go, why are you going on Facebook? And, you know, why aren't you on YouTube? And like, now I know why, because Facebook has treated me real well. I mean, we're going to, you know, I get 500,000 views a month on Facebook, whereas YouTube, you know, doesn't even want to know me.
It's been the opposite for me. Facebook and Instagram hate my guts.
Come on.
YouTube is, I guess, we made up. But yeah, Meta hates me.
I couldn't get arrested on Instagram, and all of a sudden, these past 6 months, it's slowly climbing now. That's what I'm saying. We're trying to figure this out, and like, there is no figuring it out. Just do what you do.
Not.
Put it out there, because you're doing something good. People will find you. You know, build it, and they will come. Whatever you want to call it. All right, very good, ladies and gentlemen. Right there in the flesh, Mike Vera from the Healthy and Awake podcast. And you can find him on his Substack and his website at www.mikevera.com. Any last word of wisdom before I let you go? And I appreciate you staying on late with me.
Yeah, just I mentioned skeptical is the one word I would probably sum it up with, but I like to end by saying stay healthy, stay awake.
Wow, good one. All I have is a love you guys. Peace out. Listen, all right. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hopefully you were happy with tonight, and maybe a year from now I can have you back on and we can just, you know, because health and stuff like that, that's something that never goes away. There's always somebody that needs to hear your message, and you got a good message. So if you don't lose my number after this show,
no, this was fun. Definitely, we could do this again.
It was good. It was so easy. Like, again, I always tell people, it's like, I really try to make these not to be interviews. I want to have a great conversation with somebody. You were easy to talk to. You told me that you were going to be able to, you know, help me keep it that way. And you absolutely did, and knocked it out of the park. So I appreciate that. And again, go find Mike Vera right there, www.mikevera.com, and check him out for your health. Good body, good food, good health, all the above. All right, wave goodbye to everybody, and I'll talk to you later. There you go. All right, peace out. There we go. Yes, sir. Huh? I knew he's going to be a good piece of information. I mean, because he's like the real deal. He does not just do it because it's something to do. As I got into more conversations with him, I started really finding, like, I mean, he's got red lights in his house. He doesn't even have real light bulbs in his house. That's like hardcore deep. I don't even know what that would be like, walking around with red lights in your house and nothing but red lights. I'd be banging into shit. My face would be all messed up even more than this. It's like, it'd be hard. It takes some getting used to. But obviously, maybe you just go to bed early like the Amish or something, and then you don't have to worry about that. But you get up with the daylight. But great talk with Mike Vera. Again, go find him. Last time, look right there, mikevera.com. Real simple, real easy. Can't mess that up unless you're me. All right, where we're going here. So I want to remind everybody one more time, next week, Wednesday, May 13th, I have author of the book Failure Factory right here. How Baltimore City public schools deprive taxpayers and students of a future. It's all about the lack of education in the education system and all the money that goes into the education system and nothing to show for. That's a bummer. So join me Wednesday, May 13th, right here on Life with Peter G, The Peter G Show, and we will talk to Mr. Christopher Pabst on his book, Failure Factory. All right? I want to thank everybody for tuning in. That's what we got here. Steve B. Steve B. We didn't have very many commenters tonight. Really strange, but then again, it happens. He was good. Of course he was good. We spare no expense here, Steve. Bringing you the best. You kind of get a gauge when you talk to people, whether they're going to be on top of things or not. And, you know, I mean, some people, you know, I've had comedians on here and they're good and they all bring something to the table. Hence the word Life with Peter G, or the phrase, The Peter G Show. I want to remind everybody, lastly, life is a bitch. People are going through all kinds of hell. We don't always get what we want. We're desperately, you know, trying to survive. It's expensive. It's got a lot of ups and downs. But all I can tell you is to be kind in that journey that we're living in right now, because you're probably going to bump into some people that are not feeling so kind, and you say something and they lash out, and they can't help it. But before you bite back, take a breath, think before you speak. You don't know what everybody's going through. Now, some people are just plain crazy and they need to get their ass beat, but not everybody. And most people are just trying to go through the motions daily. It's hard. So be kind, think before you speak. You don't have to be an ass, but you don't have to take a bunch of crap from people either. Just try to be gracious and just let it go. Life is short. My name is Peter G. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show. Please do me a favor and just share, and follow, like, whatever, subscribe, all the above. It really helps. That's what I'm here for. And I do believe that with all these shows, there's always something that is going to strike a nerve with somebody. You may want to take this show and go, hey, I got a friend. They really need to hear this, because they didn't know. And that's what we do. We share. All right? Again, stay cool. Be nice. Play nice. And tune in next week for Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show. Every Wednesday like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast. God willing. All right? Life is not, every day is not promised, so make the best of it. Just a reminder one more time, in case you didn't know, my name is Peter G. I do love you guys, and peace out. 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 See, I can't even get out. Out.
Peter G Show. Peter G Show. Divorced dad. Single dad. Divorced dad. Single dad. Peter G Show.